There is a revolution going on in the UK. Things are boiling up. Civil unrest across the board. And apparently there was just a targeted terrorist attack.
I'm indoors today because Storm Amy is raging outside, but I've also got a new camera, so you can tell me if it's any good. And I want to talk about what happened a couple of days ago, because terror returned to Britain streets yet again. This time it was targeted at the Jewish community, and tragically 2 people have lost their lives and a further 3, I believe, are currently in hospital. Now, I'm not going to go into any more details than that because YouTube won't like it, but I am glad that
I need to know the details. Let's see. British police arrest 6 after deadly Manchester synagogue attack. This is from the BBC. 35-year-old suspect on bail for alleged rape, car ramming, and stabbing attack influenced by extreme Islamist ideology.
Waited a couple of days to make this video because some of the details that have come out since the incident highlight just how completely broken Britain is. For a start, nothing could prepare me for this guy's name, because he's called Jihad al-Shami, which
There's no way.
Translates literally to Holy War from Syria, meaning that we invited someone called Holy War from Syria into Britain and gave them a passport.
Nah, dude, religion of peace.
And now something like this happens and I'm meant to be shocked. Well, guess what? I'm not shocked. The only thing I'm really shocked about is that it took the police 36 hours to come out with a limp statement like Jihad al-Shami might have been influenced by Islamist ideology. Yeah, you don't say. Jihad was doing jihad. Go figure.
That's not actually what jihad means.
I think politicians are really underestimating the level of anger in this
I was being sarcastic, but that is what people say.
country, because they genuinely thought that they could go back to the usual post-attack program and it would work. And what that looks like is it starts with thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. And then the political leaders come out and they say, oh, we need to stick together as a community.
You see, the UK is effectively cucked by Islam. I don't know why. Keir Starmer seems to have a huge boner for his fellow brothers. Perhaps it's because they're now in positions of power. Maybe there's some sense of collective guilt, but it is odd.
Nothing like this will ever divide us. This is horrible. And then the whole thing starts to get forgotten about. And the next headline you read is that 1,200 migrants crossed the channel on a dinghy. They've thrown away their passports and we've got absolutely no idea who they are.
The crazy thing is they are accelerating the anti-Islam movement by doing this stuff. Yeah, there is the accelerationism angle. It's not good optics, because when that happens, then you have people justifying a response, and it just gets ugly.
Right. Well, the Jewish community weren't quite so quick to let David Lammy off the hook.
Meanwhile, crowds heckled the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy whilst a vigil took place in Crumpsall to honour the victims of that synagogue terror.
Who the fuck is David Lammy? Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He gets heckled. Shame on you.
Attack earlier.
Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
That is what happens when the Labour Party comes into contact with reality. And yeah, it's not very pleasant, is it? But this story is only just getting started, because it turns out that Jihad was actually on bail for...
Why the fuck are these ancient foreign sand feuds even happening on British soil to begin with? It's a great question.
rape. Yeah, you heard that right. Jihad had been bailed for rape when he went on to commit murder. And this is in a country where people couldn't even get bail.
This is happening in America too. Irina Zarutska, bro, was let out of jail 25 times. Logan Federico, 35 times. I just saw another headline. This guy was let off 100 times. But no, we need to call 7 police officers to arrest a guy for having his gym private business music too loud.
For sending tweets angrily and then deleting them a few hours later, but he got bail for rape. What exactly?
We're living in an anarcho-tyrannical system. I keep saying it. I will keep saying it. I will continue to say it until it gets drilled into everyone's heads. It doesn't pay to be a good, upstanding, moral citizen when the crime maxers can get away with it all. and the result is death and destruction.
Is going on in this country. Like, I know
You have people in the UK getting arrested for spicy memes. Oh, you got a license for that thought, mate. Yeah, we're gonna have to arrest you now.
we're broken, but how unbelievably broken are we? Like, is it beyond fixing at this point? Is the moral corruption and decay in this country so absolutely awful that really there is no way back to sanity? Because I'm starting to think that that might actually be the case. Now, if you're anything like me, you were probably wondering the same thing. What kind of person names their son Holy War? Well, we got an answer pretty quickly because someone found his Facebook. And it turns out the guy is a surgeon who works in the NHS. Ooh, migrant success story.
I feel like the English are just not the people to piss off, historically speaking.
But also lives in a council house. Right. So the guy's earning, what, 140, 150 grand a year, but somehow you're still paying your council taxes so that he can live in a council house. Yeah, that's a bit strange, isn't it? Anyway, let's not dwell on that point. Let's just take a look at the character of the man. What do you think he posted after the October 7th attack in Israel? Did he condemn it? Oh no. Here's what he had to say. Men like these prove that they are the men of God on earth, and regardless of who leads them, they are the real compass of men who are confident of their victory. Great. So a few days after
You can't make this up. I'm laughing at the absurdity. This is what you post after an actual massacre?
the attack, that's what he posted. And then you want me to believe when he comes out making a statement condemning his son and saying that this is terrible and he doesn't approve of it? Well, I just don't believe you, okay? He also made a list, interestingly, of misunderstood historical leaders who would one day be celebrated. And guess who was on
History will apologize to Nero and Pharaoh and Hitler. They're at the back of the criminal list. Congratulations, my country.
there? Yeah, it was the man with a mustache in 1930s Germany. So what is the actual solution then? Because all I hear from politicians is that we need more money for security at places of worship, and we need more money for integration projects, more money. But I don't think more money is going to stop a psychopath from being a psychopath. Last time I checked, there were about 45,000 people on MI5's watch list, and about 90% of them are from radical Islamist backgrounds. So yeah, more money just isn't going to cut it. If it's not the synagogues because there's too much security there,
Bye. Love you too.
then it'll be the church. And if it's not the church, it'll be the cinema. And if it's not the cinema, it'll be the town centre. More money is not the solution to this problem. But even if it was, you've really got some
Just a wholesome Chungus moment while listening to the most horrific story ever.
cheek to come and ask the British people for more money. It's like you going to them and saying, hey, I know for the last 70 years you begged us not to do mass migration, but we ignored you and we did it. And it turns out that a lot of these people aren't really integrating very well. So
Nah, dude. Mass immigration is actually sick. It's heckin' based. Diversity melting pot? Sign me up. I love non-assimilating cultures. I love the cultural clash of ideas. I love having to keep my head on a swivel when I go out in public because I might get fucking ran over by a Halo 3 warthog at any given moment.
could you give us a bit more money and maybe we can make things better? Maybe if you give us more money, you won't be randomly attacked in the street. That's what you're doing. And at the same time, you're coming to the British people who begged you over and over and over again to lower immigration. Every time we voted for a party and they won, the election manifesto said, we will lower immigration.
See, a lot of people don't have the nuance, and when they hear me say something like that, they're like, oh my god, what a bigot. It's quite simple. Come to the country in a legal manner, assimilate, learn the language, and contribute to society. Is it that hard? But you have people crossing the English Channel, or through the porous southern Mexican border, and now the northern Canadian border, abusing the Western civilizations that are in place and the systems that go along with that, raising hell, committing crime, and just being parasites on the host country.
But at the same time, you're coming to them with your begging bowl out, you're bringing more people to the country. 755,000 just last year. So, no, more money isn't the solution. And no, you don't have the right to ask us. Now, I think there is a solution, but it's a solution that a lot of people are going to feel uncomfortable with. And that's remigration. Some
I don't even know how that's controversial.
political parties in the UK are explicitly talking about it, UKIP, Homeland, and others are doing it implicitly, Reform and Advance. When you really think about it, the Reform Party's policy of scrapping ILR and replacing it with a work visa, well, that would be a form of remigration, because people who are just here in social housing on benefits, well, they wouldn't be able to stay because they wouldn't qualify for a work visa. And we kind of have to think about that at this point, because I think it's now or never. The English people are due to become a minority in England in the next 20 or so years.
Could you imagine being a minority in your own country?
The last census, 2021, said that England was about 72% white British. So that doesn't necessarily mean English, that could be Scottish or Welsh. But that was prior to the Boris wave. So I think England is probably 65% English at this point, maybe 64 if you factor in 1 million or so people who are here illegally. And that's kind of terrifying to me. That really is terrifying. It means that if there is any hope of restoring England to being the homeland of the English people for another
USA's not better? Yeah, I know.
1,000 years, then we basically have to make some pretty tough decisions in the very near future. And
That's why I'm laughing.
I will say this.
Because it's coming, chat.
The vast
I'm going to be othered. I'm going to be a minority.
majority of people who've come here don't necessarily hate us or harbour any grudges against us or would do us any harm. But some of them definitely do. They blame the English and the white British, so that includes the Scots and the Welsh, for things that we've done around the world. And some of it might be with justification.
I keep it pretty simple. I just don't understand why the native populations, the citizens, the taxpayers, the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears and contribute to society are being overshadowed by actual foreigners. It's not about hating people. It's not about being exclusionary. It's just like, yo, what the fuck?
They blame us for the British Raj, India and Pakistan. They blame us for things that we did in Africa, colonisation. They blame us for the wars we've started or been involved in. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, removing Gaddafi, etc., etc. And like I said, I think there's probably some justification in that. We have interfered with a whole...
It's a weird standard only applied to Western countries. China and the Middle East literally keep their demographics locked the fuck down and no one cares. Yeah, we talk about that. It's only the Anglo-Saxon white countries of the West.
whole bunch of other countries to their detriment in a way that we shouldn't have. But the really...
Meanwhile, the British elites don't care as they sit on their millions they made from privatizing our businesses and institutions. That's how I feel about American elites as well. Like, I look around, I don't... If you talk to extremely wealthy Americans or people in general, they're so clocked out and out of touch because they just move away, where they don't have to deal with any sort of struggle ever. Yeah, no, this is cooked. See ya. Yeah, I'm going to go take my private jet to Aspen, Colorado, and I'm not going to see the poors, the peasants, or anyone else but my immediate circle for the next 6 months.
stupid move was to then bring huge numbers of those people into this country and hope that somehow the magical
Like, I feel like rich people just run away.
soil of England would make them all English and they would forget the things that we'd done to their homeland. Well, that's absurd and absolutely ridiculous. And I worry about what the future for this country looks like as we become a minority here and the country gets poorer and poorer. How does this end? And I don't really know. And like I said, the vast majority of people who've come here actually don't mean us any harm. But what you'll find is that there's sort of 1 or 2% radicalized on all sides of the spectrum. And as we get poorer and poorer, those people can really start to seize power. Think about what happened in Yugoslavia, right? If you don't know, here's a very quick history lesson that's mostly accurate. Yugoslavia was multiple different ethnic groups. We'll focus on the Croats, the Serbs, and the Bosnians. And it was all sort of held together in Yugoslavia when Tito was ruling with an iron fist. Then when Tito died, the economy was mostly okay, so it just sort of kept functioning for a few years. And then when the economy went, and there wasn't a dictator, well...
The issue about ethnicity in English isn't about religion, because British people have been pagan, Catholic, Protestant, and such before. It's to do with the skin color and who your forefathers were. Every English person is white, but not every white person is English. I mean, I think it's just the people coming over on dinghies that are raping little girls, killing people, and getting government handouts. I think that's the main problem.
The whole thing turned pretty ugly, and you get the Bosnian War, and you get a lot of horrible stuff happening. Now, am I saying that that will definitely happen here, the sort of a Balkan solution for Britain? I don't know. I don't know, but I also really don't want to find out. I'll leave you with this final thought. Why do countries exist? Why are there borders between different countries?
No such thing as borders. No one's illegal.
Well, I'll give you the most basic reason that I can think of.
But we somehow exist on stolen land.
The default state of mankind is war, is people fighting each other. Different groups tend not to get along. And so at some point you would imagine, forgive me, in ancient history, the leaders of these two separate groups got together and said, hey, I know we're fighting all the time, but I've had an idea. What about my guys stay on this side of the river and your guys stay on this side of the river, and we just don't mix. We don't interact, and therefore we don't fight each other. And they both mutually agreed to that.
It really is the separation of ideas, principles, peoples.
And that effectively became a border. Now, I'm not saying that countries haven't then broken borders or invaded other countries, but that was the primary purpose. These two groups could live separately, stop fighting each other, they don't have to interact, and they can build their own nations. Great. My country, by the way, is very, very guilty of crossing those borders. I'm not naive to that, okay? But my point is this. Different groups throughout all of human history have not been able to live alongside each other peacefully.
Yeah, but along with the colonialism was some of the greatest advancements in Western civilization as we know it. I mean, like the all bad angle, it just loses me.
Forever. That's the final
Like America!
thought I'll leave you with. I know it's a bit doom and gloom. It's just food for thought. I think some form of remigration is absolutely necessary. Well, it just is absolutely necessary if we want to ensure that England remains the home of the English people. We've only got one homeland. You hear a lot of people talking about Israel and they say, well, Muslims have got 55 countries, but the Jews have only got one. That's true. But you know who else has only got one? The English people. We've only got one homeland as well. I'll leave that there. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's indoors. Hopefully the weather clears up at some point and I can film some outdoor videos.
If only we could all sit in a kumbaya circle, smoke ayahuasca, and have a polyamorous fucking civilization, Goonertopia.